Skyrush at Hershey Park is 200 feet tall with a drop of 212. It reaches a top speed of 75 miles an hour on a 3,600-foot track. The first drop is angled at 85 degrees, very close to vertical. Today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on Skyrush, and as you could tell by the title, I do think Skyrush is overrated. Please do not hate on me in the comments, just hear me out and let me explain why. I don't think Skyrush is a bad roller coaster. In fact, I would say in my ranking, I put it at 6, so in the upper middle coasters. But I really think overall it is not worthy of a top 3 in the park. I just don't think it is. So, Skyrush has for me many problems. One is just the intensity, which causes a lot of roughness. Number 2 is the restraints, and I had the pleasure to not ride them with the old restraints, but I still think the new restraints are bad, and not really for the same reason. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And number 3, airtime. So first I was going to talk about the roughness. So Skyrush is very rough. If you've never been on it, you want to go on it, I'm going to tell you to brace yourself. I would not recommend riding the wing seat more than twice during your visit because that is the roughest one, and it makes sense. You can really feel the rattle. But besides the rattle, it's just rough. And it's not a kind of like wooden coaster rough. It is a different kind of rough feeling, and it's caused by the intensity of the coaster. And it is also though a very noticeable rattle, and I think Skyrush is starting to age. So if you sit in the middle, it's a little more tolerable, but you still definitely feel it, and it's definitely not most pleasant. For me, think this takes away from the ride experience a lot. I understand if you're just looking at raw speed and intensity, yes, Skyrush is probably one of, if not the best at the park. However, though, I'm looking at the overall experience, and then I always include roughness with that, and just how Skyrush is just, that really takes away from it a lot. And there's little things they can do, like add head cushioning, because I'm telling you right now, especially on the wing seats, there are lots of it's going to give you a headache. I would not recommend riding it more than twice in a row and like 3 or 4 times during your visit, especially unless you're a more experienced, like you've rode, like for example, Intimidator 305, Maverick, etc., and you're really what's the word, like well accustomed with rough coasters, you may be able to handle it more. But for someone who isn't as much, I would recommend not doing this a lot. So, the wing seat obviously has more, but I still think the inside seat has a lot of head banging too. They tell you to keep your head back, but all that does is rattle your head more. If you put your head forward, a lot of times it gets pushed back in your seat and you hit it, and honestly, that's what causes the headaches. And also, your brain rattling causes it as well. So it's a big. I wouldn't even say the thighs are as big of a problem anymore. It is your head. It bounces around so much. They need to add cushioning. That seat is too hard. They should add some cushioning on the back part where your head goes, and I think that could go a long way. Because you want it, now it would still be rough, but it would go a long way because I think that was one of my biggest problems, was just the head banging, and I was so focused on bracing. Now, the first drop, we're going to go into airtime. The first drop for airtime is amazing. The first hill or two is pretty good as well. However, though, the rest of it is like it gives airtime. I've counted 7 airtime pops, including that drop off the hill. However, though, I think the airtime was overhyped. People were acting like it was some of the best on planet Earth. And while I think the first drop was like unlike any drop air experience, and that first hill was very good, the rest of it just sucked. And it is because of the restraints. So my problem with the restraints is not really the thigh crush. It has a little to do with it, but how much it staples. So the staff do tend to staple it a little bit extra than I think they need to, but regardless, you still have more room than you feel for airtime. That's why in that first drop, even when you get stapled, you feel like you still feel for most of the time the airtime floating out your seat, unless like you got really stapled, which didn't really happen on my visit. I think happened once. But the first hill, it got you get around airtime again, but after that, you really don't get it. You feel the airtime pops happening, and you feel a teeny bit of your butt lifting up off the seat, but you feel like your thighs are fighting with the restraint, and the restraint always wins and pushes you back down. So what I'm trying to say is there's so much room for airtime, but the restraints don't allow for it. And the reason for this is because they are hydraulic restraints. So they come down on you more throughout the ride. So as a result, it causes your airtime to just be limited, and while you still get it, it is not road class like everyone has talked about. And I still don't understand how people get it, because I don't get that good airtime. It's just the restraints really take away from it. So I think if they were to, now this would be a little hard, but not stapled as much to staff, but they fixed it. So basically, what would happen is the restraints wherever the staff put it, right, and this would need a little bit more safety measures to not let it dispatch if someone's restraints not down enough. But wherever the staff puts it, right, basically it stays on that point the whole ride. And they actually should have. I think these restraints don't have enough give to it either. So basically, what would happen is you would come up after your seat, you would hit them, but they would have a little give to you. So they would go up a teeny bit the restraints, but not a lot. It would have give to it. And then after a good second or two, it would start pushing you back down. But instead of going down tighter on you, or at least it very slowly does, but I would just say it goes back to the same spot it started in and does the same thing for every airtime hill. This would give you so much more airtime, and it would actually make the coaster, I would say, probably like road class airtime, but it doesn't deliver that because the restraints just don't allow for it. And I will say, at the end of the ride, my thighs are not that, they're not hurting super bad, but they're hurting. So I'm happy the restraints pop up, but they're definitely not feeling good. So I just think they need way more give to them. Um, for example, Fahrenheit has give to it, something like that. It's another intimate. I understand the technology for Skyrush would be a little bit of money and like maybe something intimate and Hershey might not want to invest in, but I just think it could go a long way. I think when they got these new machines, they should have also did that, but it really takes away from it. Now again, as for the roughness, I think that's just in general, it's aging, the wing seats, and also it's just intense. But again, the head, like the padding, could really help, so you don't have to be so concerned about hitting your head super hard. Um, but yeah, that's everything I would say why I don't think Skyrush is a elite coaster. I just think if you're looking for raw speed, I wouldn't even say airtime because again, the restraints take away from that. But I would say if you're looking for raw speed and intensity, this coaster is probably the best, if not like the second best at the park, and in America, I'd say top 20, top 10. However, though, for overall experience, this really I don't think would rank super high in the park. It wouldn't rank super low because it is still fun, but it just is too much. It's not re-rideable, and you do kind of, at least for me, I was kind of down. I was like, dude, I thought the airtime would be better, and it just didn't deliver it because it had a lot of hills, but and like, they were supposed to give airtime. I could feel myself crushing into the restraints, but the restraints just did not allow for it. So I ranked it probably about. I think I ranked it 6 in the park. When I look at overall experience, I don't just look at the airtime intensity, which by the way, for me, this didn't have much airtime. I know I said it 100 times, but yeah. So I would say it wasn't. It was upper middle. I wouldn't say it was the worst, or I wouldn't even say roller coaster. Then I wouldn't even say it was like in the lower middle, so more towards the back of my list. But it wasn't at my front. Like it was not my top 5. Definitely. Maybe on a good day it would be 5, but I really tried to like it, but I just couldn't. And these are the problems I found with it. These are some of the solutions I would be not opposed to, but I just don't know. I honestly think overall Candemonium's a better hypercoaster. Again, do not flame me in the comments for that, but I just think overall, even though it's floater, I do like Ejector better. At least it gives airtime and at least it's smoother. So yeah, that's my review on Skyrush. Tell me what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you not? And I hope to see you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in another one. Bye, everybody.